You're listening to Trivista's Small Talks, short conversations with experts throughout our dealerships.
So today our topic is winter truck maintenance, and we'll be discussing the various things an owner should be addressing before the cold weather arrives. Hello, my name is Anita Massey, and I'm the Director of Marketing at Trivista Companies. Today we're being joined by Joe Morehous, Service Manager at our Trivista Louisville, Kentucky dealership. Hey Joe, thanks for talking with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely happy to have you. I know you're taking time out of your busy schedule. So we recently shot a fall maintenance video with you where you talked about some of the items that need to be addressed post-summer. But now that winter is nearly here, we wanted to talk again with you so that you could tell folks some of the more important things that they should be thinking about doing to their trucks to make sure that they stay running as efficiently as possible. So would you like to list maybe the top 5 or 6 things that you recommend, and then we'll get into the details on each one after that?
Yeah. Winter is always a hard time on trucks. Making sure that your truck is running right is the key. You know, a down truck doesn't make any money, correct? Mm-hmm. So the biggest things to look out for is to make sure your air system is working properly. Do an air dryer service. Test your batteries. Make sure your fuel treatment is right. Make sure you're getting current fuel, not old fuel that has the proper treatment in it. Tires, make sure that your air pressure is good. Make sure your tread is fine. And avoid cold soaks.
Okay, that sounds like a pretty good list. So let's talk a little bit more about the details of what each of these services includes. So what about air dryer service?
The biggest thing that drivers can do to maintain that their air systems and air dryers are working properly is to make sure that you're draining your tanks on a consistent basis. Every time that you start your truck, make sure that you drain your tanks, or after the truck is done or shut off for the day. Make sure that your air filter on your dryer is replaced annually as well. That can save a lot of trouble and headache in there. If you don't drain your tanks and make sure that your air dryer is working properly, it will cause water in those lines to freeze, and then you're not able to build air.
And that does the truck not start then, or what happens if that occurs?
You will not be able to release your brakes. That's the biggest one.
Okay.
You will not be able to release the brakes on the truck and or trailer, depending on where the water is, and then also your volume of air being able to be stored reduces drastically as well because you have that water in the tank.
Okay, good to know.
Battery tests and inspection are always really important. As most of you know, winter is very hard on batteries. Whenever the cold weather comes in, it seems like your batteries are fine one day and then they're bad the next whenever the cold weather arrives. Make sure that you get them tested. This is very easy and proactive maintenance. Batteries are something that should be tested annually to make sure that they are good. We do this just to make sure that your truck is going to start whenever you need it to.
Okay.
Fuel treatments is something that can be debated across the country, seems depending on where you're at. If you're in Florida, it's not necessarily as necessary as it is if you were in New York or Oregon. If you're traveling anywhere to Midwest or anywhere in the middle of the United States, make sure you're putting fuel treatment in your systems. It is very cheap insurance to make sure that your fuel system will not gel up or have any kind of issues with your fuel system. We have seen it several times and had customers call us. They're usually able to correct the situation just by adding just basic fuel treatment.
So if you don't do this fuel treatment check, it can tear up your engine. What is the downside to not doing it? What does it do to the truck or to the engine?
Yeah, so your fuel literally will gel. Diesel fuel, once it gets so cold, it will start to coagulate.
Oh, okay.
And so it'll get stuck in your line. It makes your fuel filters get plugged. It's not good. And then you have to wait for the truck to thaw, quite literally thaw out before the truck will be able to run again.
Okay, so it can do a lot of damage if you don't keep up on that.
You're correct.
Okay, makes sense. What else? What about tires and air pressure?
Tires. Make sure that your tires are aired up correctly. In warmer months, and whenever it gets warm, air expands. Whenever it gets cold, air contracts. Make sure that your tires are at the proper rating, at the proper PSI to where they need to be. Running tires that are underinflated hurts fuel economy. It can also cause tires to blow out. So that could be a very costly and expensive repair, especially if one blows out and causes body damage.
Mm-hmm. And also braking, right? It affects your ability to brake
Absolutely,
properly.
it does.
Yeah. So is that why my car air pressure light comes on when the seasons change?
Absolutely.
So it's the same for cars as well?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. These
All
tires
right.
just have a lot more air in them.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. So like how much more air in a truck tire than a car tire?
Shoot, usually semi tires are rated at 100 psi. That's
Okay.
usually where they like to be aired up at. Usually cars are 35,
32,
40.
yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
All right, and then what about, what's cold soak? I know you're going to talk about that, but what is a cold soak?
A cold soak is a driver gets off for Christmas and he lets his truck sit in a lot until his Christmas vacation is done. He goes back to it a week later and he goes to start it, and that truck does not want to start. Avoid doing that if possible at all, especially if you have the truck at a lot. Ask somebody to start it for you at least once a day. Let it run for 15, 20 minutes. Let the engine heat up. Doing this ensures that your truck just stays running in cold conditions. Whenever diesels get cold, they don't want to start back up.
Okay.
Once they get running, they're fine.
So that's why you see trucks in truck stops or wherever that are hooked up to something that's running.
Correct.
It's just keeping the battery or keeping the engine warm or the battery warm.
All the above.
Keeping the whole engine block warm, basically.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So the truck staying running, make sure that your batteries stay charged, making sure that you're not losing charge in them. The alternator stays running, keeps the batteries charged, and then also it doesn't give your fuel a chance to gel, because whenever your fuel returns from the return on the engine, it's returned to the tank, keeping the tank fuel warm as well.
Okay, so even though it might cost a little more to run the battery and to run the gas for the truck to just idle for a couple, 3 days, it's cheaper in the long run to do that.
Yes, if you have an older truck, and today's truck, this is kind of getting on a different topic. You don't want new trucks to idle near as much as you do old trucks due to new after treatment systems. So just let the truck run for half hour at a time, 15, 20 minutes, half hour, just to let everything stay relevant, stay current, get warm, and then it can cool back off.
So once a day you could do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Prolonging idling on new trucks with emission systems can affect your after treatment.
So when you say new truck, what years are you talking? If it's new considered from this year forward, what would that be?
Oh, when I say newer trucks, I would consider anything 2013 and newer.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
That's when federal emissions kicked in for after treatments.
Okay, that makes sense. All right. Is there anything else you would like to mention as far as winter maintenance that we haven't talked about or that I didn't bring up?
Something that I seem to always mention whenever we have these conversations is just make sure your fluids are topped off.
Okay.
Make sure everything is good to go there. Check your belts. Make sure your hoses are looking good. Cold weather is rough on trucks. It's usually whenever we see a turn up in work is just because of a lack of things that could be caught earlier. It's well worth the money to have somebody officially inspect your truck and to go over it with a fine-tooth comb to find the things that can be replaced now, instead of having somebody replace it on the side of a road or having to pay a wrecker bill for that.
Okay. That makes total sense. Well, thanks again for taking time out of your busy day to talk about this informative discussion on winter truck maintenance. I appreciate it, and I'm sure this information is going to be really helpful to our customers. So if anybody would like to learn more or to schedule a service appointment with any of our TriVista locations, you can reach us at www.trivistacompanies.com. See you next time.